Hey everybody, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm here. I can't believe it. It's been so long since I've been out in the woods. And I'm here. So, it's beautiful out here. It's just amazing to be out with the trees again. I'm so happy. You have no clue. This is like awesome for me to be out here. Welcome. Well, I guess I'll start from the stone, right? You guys love these. It's like they're like your motivation for the week, you know. So anyway, to get here was a complete wreck. To get here was tough, but we did it. We got here. So welcome everybody. All right. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm Druid Klan, founder of the Druid Circle, founder of the Druid Order of Blessed Stone and Wood, and founder of Druid University, along with Druid Living, a conservative pagan folk media outlet. So this way you don't have to be submersed in liberal agenda when you're reading it, and you could actually just read the story for what it is and not be indoctrinated. So what is From the Stone? From the Stone, just as a review, is a talk that I do from the stone. The ancient Druids would talk from stones or rocks. You see, they would get on a huge rock, and then they would proclaim what they believed to be truth, right? But they wouldn't actually do it. They would allow something to speak through them to go ahead and do this. And so the From the Stone always was about that, knowing that secret about the Druids, knowing that occult about the Druids, knowing that that piece of information of, even if you wish to get inspired, I would say to do so on and from a stone. When the witches and the bards took over and became the leaders of the religion of the Roman Empire, which became the Vatican, or the Vates, or the place of the Vates, or the hill of the Vates. Before that, it was always from the stone, and then it became ex cathedra, which means that somebody would speak infallibly. I don't know necessarily if speaking from a stone is creates any sort of infallibility, but I do believe that it does have some warrant. And From the Stone is about speaking with the seasons of time. This show that I do with you is really I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't prepare. I purposely do not prepare for what I'm going to say, and I have no clue what I'm going to say, but I do understand my focus. And I think I've declared that my focus, because we should always declare focuses, right? One or two, if you will, so that you could really improve, because smart goals are designed by steps, carefully prepared steps and objectives, and then steps to those objectives and objectives to the goal that you want. And so as a result of that, I think that it's really important that you think about, when we do hit a new season, and we're in Lithatide now, but when we do hit a new season, that we truly think about something that we wish to work on that works well with the season, right? Now, many people call these seasons the wheel of the year, and I think that that's a terrible translation of what it should be called, but that's just my own opinion. I think, calling it the wheel of the year is something that most people could, identify with. I think that it's, something that most people could sort of, it could sort of say, well, listen, I understand what the wheel of the year is, but I like to call it the cycles of the sun, or the stations of the sun, as quoted so brilliantly by Hutton. So with the circles of the sun, the cycles of the sun, or the stations of the sun. Okay, the stations of the sun is really about understanding the season that we're in, and understanding how we could use that season as it lines up to the sun. Using it because the cycles of the sun, or the stations of the sun, or the wheel of the year doesn't focus on the lunar cycles, as it focuses more on the solar cycles, which I would believe that while the Druids understood the lunar cycles, I also believe that it probably was more of understanding the sun, and as they were worshippers, and I would say, when I say worshippers, understanding, and people who understood the astronomy of the sun. So today, what we do is we take each season and we break it down, and we help you understand what, at least what I'm doing, as far as, how I'm growing as far as a Druid, and as far as what I'm focusing on. And you're welcome to join me in that, on my path, in your particular work and in your particular practice and workings. Litha is truly about the sun. It's truly about the idea of the 2 times of the year that are the solstices. And a lot of people asked, I'll say X because of my South Philly accent. A lot of these were saying, why are you focusing on being down, and Litha, and really, feelings have nothing to do with your workings. Feelings have nothing to do with how you're going to celebrate. Feelings have nothing to do with anything, because feelings don't last. Feelings aren't permanent. They're only temporary. Litha. And so when we talk about whatever you're going to be working on, whatever you're going to be focusing on, whatever you're going to be talking about, or working toward, it goes beyond feelings, because your feelings come and go. Your feelings aren't constant. If your feelings were constant, well, you wouldn't be able to see you wouldn't be able to have any sight for something better or worse to be gracious for, so that you can become better. So I named Litha, this Litha 2020, to be focusing on focusing on letting go. And I thought that letting go would be really important to talk about, because if we understood the importance of letting go, and I think it would be good to focus on that, as what's really happening during this solstice is not the victory of the sun, as it is in Yule, when the light returns and starts growing powerful, right? It's basically an ado to the sun, a farewell to the sun, as saying thank you for heating us up, for these many months, and thank you for being so powerful, and thank you for understanding all of that and how it works in our life. So when we let go, does that mean we are powerless? Does that mean that we are not able to do for ourselves? No. Letting go is a concept that many would understand as releasing things into the abyss of those things that you're not able to control. We can control certain things in our life, right? we can make decisions, we can, you know, we can make decisions, we could choose, we can differentiate, we could discriminate, but there are certain things where we just can't. There are certain things that come up in life that we just cannot do. And so as a result of all of that, what ends up happening is that when we start thinking about this idea of this letting go, saying goodbye to the sun, saying, you know, thank you for heating us up, if you will, and now it's time to release you. As the sun now, and as the days get shorter and shorter, we are letting go. Doesn't mean that the light is gone. The light never goes. Even when it's pitch black out, the light is still there. It's just, you know, it's not experienced or witnessed. So letting go, sorry about that, guys. Letting go is all really about this idea of saying, I am okay, and I know things will be okay for the things that I cannot control. And so one thing we must do when we talk about, at least, what we cannot control is our vestments. Because when we let go, we need to have protection. We need to have some sort of strength. We need to have the ability to, you know, we need to have the ability to know that we are still secure. Now, one of the things I wanted to say and teach is that and let you know that I think is important to do is, what I do believe is that when the Druids did put on their, if you will, vestments, or put on their clothes, I think that they offered them to the gods, or, you know, whatever you would consider God if you are a monotheist. And so what ends up happening is that we must, when we are letting go, we must begin to think about this idea of ensuring our own particular and purposeful protection that is needed, so that when we dress or put our vestments on in the morning, we are in a sense becoming warriors and soldiers for the god or gods of our understanding, the pantheon of our understanding. And those vestments are vestments such that look like this, that look like this. They don't have to be extreme vestments. You don't have to be putting on some robe or anything like that. And I'm not saying that you can. I'm just saying that, you know, I mean, and especially for ritual. I mean, I'm not going to wear this for ritual. If I'm going to be doing a ritual for many other people, I'll be putting on the Druid or Blessed Stone and Woods vestments. But I want you to understand too that this idea of putting on vestments isn't something that is new. The idea stems from probably, I would say, the ancient Babylonians, who would you know, they had said that they would lift up to the sky their shirt and or you know, in so many words, and ask for and ask for protection. That tradition is still carried out today in the church. Catholic priests, when they would dress, you don't learn this until very, very late, is that they say something. very occult, and they're not allowed to tell you what they say when they put their vestments on. It's something that's of the priestly caste. Though I did have a good friend of mine, a priest, who told me what they say. And so when we think about this idea of putting on, so what do you say? What do you say when you put on your vestments, right? Well, that would be totally up to you, obviously. Druid Order of Blessed Stone Wood has, when you put on your holy vestments, your sacramental vestments, your ceremonial vestments, if you will, there are certain things to say, obviously, but you in a sense are going to leave it up to you. When you get dressed in the morning, say something before you put on your shirt. Say something before you put on your shoes. Say something before you put on your outfit. Because when you do that, you then begin to recognize the importance of who you are and what protection you seek. In the medieval ages, even knights would say a prayer. It said in certain tales that they would say a prayer as they were putting on their helmet, right? Their helmet. You should look up the etymology of that. And remember, when we're talking about etymology, be very careful. If you are not a linguist, if you don't know much about language, you could be totally off. And that's why a lot of people say, well, Druid comes from a person who, the name Druid comes from a person who loved the trees, loved the oak, knew the oak. But you have to think about when the word was given. The word was given not in Gaelic. The word was first of all given in Latin to us, just as the word pagan was for many that identify. But the word Druid, okay, is really about the strength and courage and vision and wisdom that they actually had. Not necessarily simply just saying, well, I knew an oak tree. I knew what an oak tree was about. When we begin to realize the importance of our vestments, when we begin to realize the importance of our clothing, we begin to realize that whatever we put on, from a talisman or a sign or an outward sign, as many people call it, to socks, to sandals, whatever we put on, we must lift up to the gods. Because God would be very happy and pleased with that. All Father would be very happy and pleased with that. All Mother would be very happy and pleased with that. Our sacred parents, our ancestors would be very pleased with that. The mysticals and the Fae would be very, very pleased with that. Litha. So when we think and consider the elements of, when we think and consider the elements of Litha, we must think and consider what our elements are. And those elements are the ones that we will always wear, the ones that we'll always be protected by, and the ones that we will always come to know and love. We will be protected because we've asked for that protection. When you get out of the shower today, anyway, you have washed yourself, you have cleansed yourself, you have purified your Druidic tetrachronomy, you have purified your heart, your soul, your mind, and your spirit. And that, my brothers and sisters, is this idea of teaching how we prepare for our day, how we prepare for this craziness that's going on right now in the world. So when you put something on, just don't simply put it on. When you put something on, you are becoming one with the strength, with the strength of those who have gone before, our senseis, if you will, which is actually translated as the one who has gone before. Litha. So if we could remember what we talked about and understand, and you say, well, what do we say? What is it that you say? Well, again, that's up to you. Think of it. For me to tell you what to say would lessen your own creativity. It would lessen your own. It would lessen your own inspiration. You determine what you want to say, you know? But it isn't up to someone to tell you what to say. You have to say what makes you feel good, what is sacred for you, and don't let anyone know what you say. I hold this up every morning. I face the direction of the season. So right now I face south when I put on my vestments. I face south and I get dressed. Litha. Put on Christ. And you know what Christ is? Christ is the chrism, the oil, the holy oil that people would wear on their foreheads. It was a cult, an old cult that existed years and years and hundreds of years actually before the arrival of the time of Jesus. And they would call themselves basically, in a sense, Christian, because they wore the chrism, the holy oil, the shining. And so that basically is why I wanted to come on today and talk to you about this idea of putting on. Make everything holy, make everything of God. When everything is of God or gods of your understanding, you are in tune with the infinite. Now for your blessing. Wherever you're at, whenever you're at, this goes beyond time and space. May the gods bless you. May the goddesses keep you. May the Fae and the mystical shine their light upon you, and may your ancestors remain with you forever and ever. Gira. Amen. Thanks everybody for watching. Give you a little peek before I go of what it looks like down the river. But Bet Shegobra, right? The four simple words of the Druidic philosophy. Bet Shegobra. It all works out. And Aranit, carry your torch, burn your torches through the night. When the sun goes down, we raise the flames of energy Est le mogui. This is my prayer to you. Shefir, ta shefir. Thank you, everyone. And now, for a little solace to meditate.